Hello there, my sleepy adventurers. Tonight, we journey deep into the hidden corners of Middle-earth, where elven whispers carry ancient healing secrets, and forests shimmer with gentle magic. Snuggle in, relax, and let these cozy tales of elven wisdom and mystical forests carry you into a peaceful, restful sleep. Before we begin, it is a small request to like and subscribe to this channel for more amazing lores. Now close your eyes and let's begin. Edrin walked until the trees grew tall enough to swallow the sky. Their roots knotted across the ground like veins of the earth itself, and every step he took sank into moss as soft as memory. He did not know how long he had been traveling since the night of the elven song. The stars had turned, the moon had waned, and yet he felt no hunger, no ache, no weariness, only a pull, like a voice calling through layers of wind and time. The forest deepened around him, luminous even in shadow. Shafts of light slid through high canopies, catching on motes of silver dust that drifted in the air. The scent of the place was unlike anything he had ever known. Cedar and rain, the faint sweetness of flowers that only bloom when no one is watching. The further he walked, the more the sound of the world changed. Not silence, but harmony. The murmur of water, the whisper of leaves, the rhythmic sigh of the wind weaving through ancient branches. All of it breathing together as one living song. He came to a glade ringed by pillars of white birch. Their bark gleamed pale as moonstone, and their leaves shimmered like coins of light. In the center stood an arch of woven roots, half buried in moss, its surface carved with faint runes that pulsed softly as though alive. Edrin knelt and brushed the moss away with his hand. The markings stirred beneath his touch, glowing faintly blue. He could not read the words, yet they filled his mind with fragments of meaning, memory, light, and return. A tremor of wind passed through the trees, and from beyond the arch came a faint melody. It was not a song of voices this time, but something older. The hum of stone and water, the slow rhythm of the living world. Drawn by wonder, he stepped through. At once, the air changed. The scent of the forest deepened, and a silver mist gathered at his feet. The glade behind him faded, replaced by a cavern of trees, so tall they seemed to pierce the clouds. The bark of each trunk was traced with flowing light, veins of gold running upward to join in the canopy. The forest glowed from within, like starlight held in glass. Edrin's breath caught. This was not a place of mortal making. It was a sanctuary, untouched by time, one of the hidden gardens of the Eldar, spoken of only in the oldest tales. It was said the elves of the early days had woven such sanctuaries to preserve the first songs of creation itself. To find one was to walk at the edge of the world's memory. He followed the faint trail of the melody deeper in until the air grew warmer and the mist parted before him. There, in a hollow between the roots of a colossal tree, lay a pool of water, so still it seemed solid. Its surface mirrored not his face, but the sky. Stars turning in patterns he did not know. A voice spoke, whisper soft, and clear as a bell rung under water. You have come far, seeker of quiet. Edrin froze. The voice seemed to come from everywhere, from the leaves, the earth, the light itself.
Few walk this path. Fewer still remember why they began. He bowed his head, unsure whether to speak. The elves had vanished from these lands long ago, their realms fading into myth. But this voice, it was neither spirit nor shadow. It was alive and old and filled with the weight of endless seasons. I seek only to understand, he said finally. What to learn what it was they knew. what it is that heals. There was a pause, and then the voice replied, softer still. Then you must listen, not as men listen, but as the world does. For all that heals is not learned, it is remembered. The pool before him rippled, and light bloomed beneath the surface, golden, deep, rising in slow spirals like smoke. These are the secrets of the first forest, the voice murmured. The elves called them Larawen, the living whispers. They are what remains of the song that shaped the world. Each leaf, each stream, each breath of wind carries a note of it still. To heal is to remember the melody. Edrin knelt beside the pool, entranced. Can I hear it? You already do, said the voice. You have heard it in your heart since the beginning. The words sank into him like rain into dry earth. He closed his eyes, and for a moment he felt it. Not sound, but presence. A low hum through his bones, a resonance that matched his heartbeat. It was the pulse of everything around him. The forest, the sky, the quiet light of the pool. When he opened his eyes again, the forest had changed. The golden veins in the trees glowed brighter, spreading outward in slow waves. And in their light, he saw shapes moving between the trunks, tall, graceful, half-formed, like figures woven from mist. The elves, or what was left of them. They did not walk, but drifted, their faces serene, eyes filled with starlight. They passed him without sound, and as they did, he felt warmth, like sunlight through water. One paused beside him, head inclined in acknowledgement, and placed a hand upon his shoulder. It felt real, light, but steady. We are echoes, said the figure, though its lips did not move. The forest remembers us, and so we remain. Edrin could not speak. You seek knowledge, it said, but knowledge is not held in the mind. It is lived through the heart. The figure extended its hand. A shimmer of gold formed between its fingers. A fragment of light shaped like a leaf. Take this, traveler. It will guide you where words cannot. Follow it, and you may yet see what no mortal eyes were meant to see. The leaf drifted into his palm, weightless, glowing faintly with inner fire. When he looked up again, the forest was empty. Only the whispering of leaves remained. He turned the light leaf in his hand, and it pulsed once, pointing toward a narrow path winding deeper into the golden trees. Edrin breathed in, steadying his heart. Whatever lay ahead, it was meant to be found. And so he followed. The path beneath Edrin's feet wound between colossal trees, their trunks hollowed by time, yet brimming with light. Every step seemed to echo softly, a careful rhythm in the hush of the forest. The golden leaf in his hand pulsed with a quiet warmth, almost like a heartbeat, guiding him as if it knew where he must go. Shadows shifted gently among the roots, not in menace, but as if the forest itself leaned forward to watch him walk. Above, the canopy thickened, and the light of the sky became a soft mosaic, filtered through leaves that shimmered like spun silver. A breeze stirred the branches, carrying the scent of rain and something faintly sweet, perhaps honey, perhaps the memory of flowers that no longer bloomed. The forest seemed alive with intention. Every rustle and creak, a note in a melody Edrin could not yet name, but somehow understood. He came to a stream, its water flowing over stones that shone like polished opal. The surface mirrored not only the trees above, but glimpses of the sky he had never known. Clouds moving in impossible patterns, constellations unfamiliar, and stars that shimmered faintly, even in daylight. Edrin cupped the water
and drank. It was cool and clear, yet it left a trace of warmth behind, as if the forest's very essence had infused it. Shapes appeared, a hand cradling a seed, a tree bursting into bloom, a river flowing backward into its spring. Continuing along the stream, he noticed small lights flickering at the edges of his vision, like fireflies made of gold. When he looked directly, they were gone, but their movement seemed purposeful, guiding him. It was not a trick of the eyes, he realized, but a form of communication. The forest was speaking, teaching him to see, not with sight alone, but with awareness of all that lived and breathed. After some hours, or perhaps days, for time felt different here, he arrived at a clearing where the trees arched to form a natural cathedral. Vines of silver and green hung like chandeliers from the branches, and the floor was soft with moss interspersed with flowers that glowed faintly, their petals etched with patterns like constellations. At the center of the clearing lay a stone basin carved with ancient runes that pulsed with pale light. The water in the basin shimmered with a depth that seemed to contain the history of the forest itself. Edrin knelt beside the basin, feeling a pull in his chest that he could not name. He dipped his hands into the water, and visions surged through him. He saw the forest in ages past, elves walking silently beneath the boughs, tending to saplings with hands of light. Rivers that sang as they flowed. Creatures of all shapes, moving in harmony, unseen by any mortal eye. The visions were not explained, but felt, an understanding that flowed directly into his being. He realized that the elves had not vanished. They had become one with the forest, guardians of its memory, keepers of the melody of creation. A soft voice filled the clearing, though no one could be seen. You seek what has been hidden, and yet it has always been here. The forest does not hide its secrets. It waits for those who can perceive them. Edrin's heart beat with a mixture of awe and fear. "How can I perceive?" he whispered. "I am only a man." "You are more than that," the voice replied. "All who enter this place are vessels of the world's memory. You carry what is lost, what is forgotten. Listen, and it will guide you." He closed his eyes and let the sounds of the clearing wash over him. The rustle of leaves became a language, each note a phrase. The murmur of the stream carried counsel. The faint hum of the stones beneath him resonated with a wisdom older than the mountains themselves. And through it all, the light leaf in his hand pulsed, steady and patient, as if encouraging him to take the next step. A sudden motion at the edge of the clearing caught his attention. From the shadows, a figure emerged, tall and slender, wrapped in robes of silver and green that shimmered with every movement. Its face was partially obscured by a hood, yet Edrin felt its gaze upon him, penetrating yet gentle. The figure did not speak immediately, but extended a hand, palm upward, and from it rose a small orb of soft light. It hovered between them, illuminating the runes etched into the stone basin and revealing patterns that shifted like liquid. "This is the first gift of the forest," the figure said.
It is not to be kept, but understood. In its light, you may see what others cannot. The flow of life, the threads that bind the living to the land, and the songs that heal. Edrin stepped closer, awe keeping him still. The orb floated toward him, small and fragile, yet brimming with warmth. As it hovered above his palm, his mind filled with visions of distant places, mountain peaks dusted with starlight, valleys where rivers gleamed like silver, hidden groves where ancient trees bent in reverence to the passage of time. The forest's memory unfolded before him, a tapestry woven from centuries of quiet care and attention. You see, Seeker, the figure continued. The forest's secrets are not mysteries to be solved, but melodies to be heard. Each being, each stream, each leaf carries a note. To heal, to discover, to understand, you must attune yourself. Open your mind, open your heart, and let the melody guide you. Edrin's hands shook, not from fear, but from the enormity of what he was experiencing. For the first time in his life, he understood that knowledge was not a thing to be grasped, but a river to be entered. He let the orb drift through his fingers, feeling its gentle heat and the soft vibrations of life that emanated from it. With each pulse, he felt a connection to the forest, to the unseen elves, to the very song of the world. Hours passed, though he could not measure them. The clearing became a place outside of time, where light, sound, and scent combined into a single consciousness. Edrin felt a part of the tapestry he had glimpsed, a living thread in the web of life. The figure watched silently, its presence reassuring. Finally, it spoke again. Follow the stream, it said. It will lead you to the heart of the forest, where the melody is oldest and strongest. There, you will discover a truth that no mortal has yet fully understood. Edrin nodded, a mixture of trepidation and excitement filling him. He rose, feeling the moss underfoot like a cushion of memory, and began to follow the stream as instructed. The golden leaf in his hand pulsed steadily, illuminating the path as the trees leaned inward, creating a tunnel of shimmering light. The forest seemed to guide him with every step, bending subtly to show the way, revealing hidden bridges of roots and stepping stones of stone, polished smooth by centuries of passage. As he moved deeper, the shadows grew richer, colors more vivid, flowers that glowed faintly appeared in unexpected clusters. Birds with feathers of silver and gold flitted above, their songs woven into the larger melody of the forest. The air itself seemed alive, each breath carrying a soft resonance that stirred the soul. Edrin realized he was not simply walking. He was being carried, as if the forest itself recognized him as one of its own. At last, the stream widened into a small pool, its water reflecting an impossible sky of stars and clouds that shimmered as if painted in light. Around it, the forest opened into a circle of ancient trees, their trunks larger than any Edrin had ever seen, their roots tangled in intricate patterns. The light leaf in his hand pulsed more rapidly, directing him toward the pool. As he approached, he saw faint shapes beneath the water's surface. Elves, their forms delicate and luminous, performing subtle movements that seemed to stir the very air. The water acted as a mirror and a veil, showing him a world both present and hidden. A sense of reverence filled him, a quiet awe that made him feel both insignificant and deeply connected. You have come far, seeker, the voice intoned again, now seeming to rise from the water itself. And yet, this is only the beginning. To discover fully, you must surrender your expectations and listen with the heart. What you seek is not an object, not a secret, not a treasure. It is understanding itself, the melody of life as it was always meant to be perceived. Edrin knelt beside the pool, taking a deep breath. He let go of all desire to control or define, and instead allowed himself to become part of the song. The water shimmered in response, rippling with light and sound that filled him with warmth and clarity. For the first time, he felt that the forest had nothing to teach him, only to share if he would receive. And as he sat there, the forest itself seemed to lean closer, its ancient presence surrounding him, enfolding him in a melody older than memory, older than the stars, older than the world itself. Edrin remained by the pool, the water surface quivering gently with echoes of a music he could feel rather than hear. Each ripple seemed to carry a story, an ancient memory of the forest itself. The elves beneath the water moved with a grace that seemed impossible, their forms delicate yet radiant, as if spun from moonlight and mist. He watched in awe, understanding that he was glimpsing not just beings, but the very essence of a lost world, a fragment of life preserved by centuries of quiet devotion. Slowly he rose, feeling a subtle energy flowing through his limbs. The golden leaf in his hand pulsed steadily, as though urging him forward, guiding him toward the heart of the sanctuary. Around him, the forest deepened in color and sound. Shadows and light interwove like threads in a vast tapestry. And with every step, he felt the forest opening wider, welcoming him into spaces untouched by mortal feet. The path led him beneath an archway of roots, twisted into patterns of extraordinary complexity. Vines of silver green spiraled downward, dripping faint motes of luminescent pollen that floated lazily in the air. The forest's song rose in volume and richness here, a tapestry of wind and water, leaf and bird, stitched into a subtle but coherent melody. Edrin realized that this song was alive. It was not just heard, it was inhabited. Each note held life itself. Each chord carried the pulse of the world. As he walked, shapes began to coalesce from the mist. Faint figures, tall and elegant, moving in silent procession. Their features were beautiful beyond description. Their eyes reflecting centuries of wisdom. Their hands shaping gestures as if conducting the very air around them. Though they did not speak, Edrin felt their intention clearly. They were welcoming, yet testing. Every step he took was measured, as though the forest itself gauged his heart weighing his purpose and the purity of his curiosity. The stream beside him widened into a small river that curved like a silver ribbon through the dense trees. Its waters shimmered with light that seemed to flow from beneath the stones themselves. At intervals, small cascades formed gentle waterfalls, spilling into pools that reflected not just the forest, but glimpses of other worlds, mountains crowned with starlight, forests older than memory, rivers flowing backward into springs. The river's song intertwined with the ambient melody of the forest, creating a harmony so perfect that it made his chest ache with longing. Finally, the river led him to a clearing that seemed impossibly vast. Here, the trees rose like towers, their leaves forming canopies that glittered with a subtle inner light. At the center of the clearing stood a colossal tree, its bark etched with ancient runes glowing faintly like the first light of dawn. Its roots spread wide across the ground, and in their recesses lay small pools of luminous water, each reflecting not only the forest above, but the memories of the world itself. Edrin approached the tree cautiously, sensing that this was the heart of the sanctuary. The golden leaf in his hand pulsed with urgency, guiding him toward a hollow at the base of the trunk. Within it lay a small, polished stone basin filled with water as clear and still as glass. He knelt and gazed into the basin. As he stared, shapes began to form beneath the surface. visions of elves tending seedlings that grew into mighty trees, streams carved into valleys, and songs being sung that carried through the ages. The images were fleeting, yet each left a trace in his mind, a memory of the forest itself, of its care and devotion over countless centuries. A soft, ethereal voice rose from the tree. Seeker, you have come far, and yet the journey is not in distance, but in awareness. To discover is to perceive. To perceive is to understand. The melody of the world is older than time, and its notes are written not on paper, but in life itself. Edrin lowered his gaze to the water, his thoughts caught in awe and wonder. How can I understand? I am only one man. How can I ever comprehend the song of a forest older than memory? You have already begun, the voice replied, echoing softly around him. Understanding is not measured in intellect alone. It is felt in heart and mind together. Look, listen, and become. He closed his eyes, letting the sound of the water, the movement of the leaves, and the pulse of the golden leaf in his hand blend into a single awareness. He felt himself dissolve into the forest, not physically, but in essence. The mist that hung around him felt like a gentle embrace, and the faint forms of the elves flickered in and out of perception, like notes in a symphony of light. He sensed their approval, a quiet acknowledgement of his presence and his willingness to learn. Hours perhaps minutes, for time seemed irrelevant here, passed in this suspended state. When Edrin finally opened his eyes, he noticed subtle changes in the clearing. The tree's roots had shifted slightly, revealing a narrow passageway that led deeper underground. Faint carvings of elven script glowed along the walls, guiding him. The golden leaf quivered in his hand, urging him forward. He stepped into the passageway, and immediately the air felt warmer, infused with a soft, golden glow. The walls were lined with veins of luminous crystal, and water trickled along channels carved into the stone. The sound was musical, yet muted, as if the forest above had been distilled into this subterranean sanctuary. Shadows danced along the walls in patterns that reminded him of constellations, and he felt a strange exhilaration, a blend of curiosity and reverence coursing through his veins. At the end of the passage, he found a circular chamber. The walls were covered with mosaics of leaves, flowers, and birds, each piece alive with faint motion. In the center stood a pedestal of white stone, carved with runes that glowed softly. Upon the pedestal rested a small, delicate book. Its pages shimmering faintly like the surface of a pool at dawn. The golden leaf in his hand pulsed violently now, almost urging him to take the book. As he reached out, a voice resonated through the chamber. This is the Codex of Whispers, keeper of the forest's hidden melodies. Here are the secrets of the elves, not as words alone, but as essence and memory. To open it is to enter fully into the song of the world. To turn the pages is to feel life itself. Edrin's hand hovered above the book, trembling with a mixture of fear and awe. He realized that this was the culmination of his journey thus far, yet he understood that the true discovery would not be in simply reading, but in internalizing, in letting the forest's memory flow through him. With a steadying breath, he lifted the book. The pages opened on their own, revealing a soft golden light that spilled into the chamber. Symbols moved across the pages in fluid patterns, forming shapes he could not name, but somehow understood. The air was filled with a resonance so deep, so pure, that he felt tears welling in his eyes. The chamber seemed to vibrate with life itself, the melodies weaving around him, teaching him not just knowledge, but the experience of the forest. He could feel the roots of the trees above, the flow of the rivers, the growth of flowers, the hum of all living things. In that moment, Edrin understood that he was not merely a visitor. He was a part of the living memory of the forest, and the forest was a part of him. And in that understanding, a new purpose formed within him. He knew that he must carry this memory back to the world outside, to help others perceive the melody in their own hearts, to awaken a sense of wonder and connection long forgotten. The journey had only begun, but already he could feel the first echoes of the song spreading through him, ready to guide the next steps of discovery. Edrin lingered in the chamber, the codex of whispers cradled in his hands like a living thing. The golden pages pulsed faintly, illuminating the mosaics on the walls, making the leaves and birds shimmer as though alive. Each symbol, each line of light seemed to resonate not only in his mind, but through his very being, sending ripples of understanding across every nerve. He realized that reading the book was not an act of thought alone. It required his heart, his spirit, and his willingness to let the forest's memory flow through him unguarded. The chamber itself seemed to breathe in response, walls expanding and contracting gently, the crystal veins glowing in soft synchrony with the codex. As he turned each page, visions of the forest's ancient past unfurled before him. The first saplings, nurtured by elven hands, rivers redirected to sustain hidden groves, birds taught the secret melodies of the streams, and flowers folded and unfolded in time with the pulses of the earth. Edrin could feel their intention, the careful precision and devotion of beings who had moved in harmony with the land for countless centuries. A sudden movement caught his attention. From the shadows, faint figures emerged, elves, their forms barely more than shimmering light, hovering around the perimeter of the chamber. Their faces were serene, their presence comforting, yet commanding. Though silent, they communicated a profound expectation. The codex was not simply to be looked upon. It was to be lived. Edrin understood instinctively that he would need to carry the knowledge into action, to let it flow from him as it had flowed through the forest. The golden leaf in his hand pulsed brighter, almost impatiently, as if urging him to leave the chamber. He hesitated, reluctant to depart from this sanctuary of light and memory. Yet the stream of energy from the forest seemed to extend beyond the walls, whispering through him that the journey was not complete until he had stepped into the forest itself, fully attuned to its rhythm. He placed the codex carefully back on the pedestal, and as he did, the chamber shifted. The mosaics of birds and flowers seemed to move, forming subtle pathways of light that led toward a side passage. He realized that the forest, in its infinite patience, was guiding him again, showing him the next steps of understanding through movement and perception rather than words. The figures of the elves shimmered one last time and slowly dissipated into light, leaving him alone, but not lonely. As though their presence had infused the air itself with calm and certainty. Stepping into the passageway, Edrin felt the new energy in the air. The golden leaf continued to pulse, a constant reminder that he was not merely walking, but participating in the forest's ongoing song. Small streams of water traced patterns along the walls, reflecting light from unseen sources, forming ribbons of luminescence that seemed to pulse with the rhythm of the forest itself. The air was rich with the scent of earth and rain, of flowers and moss, creating a sensation of deep intimacy with the land. The passageway opened into a series of natural terraces, each one higher than the last, forming a spiral that climbed gently toward the canopy above. On each terrace, delicate pools of water shimmered faintly, their surfaces dotted with luminescent petals that floated in quiet circles. Edrin approached one of the pools and dipped his hands into the water. Instantly, a sensation of warmth and clarity spread through his limbs, as though the forest were teaching him the flow of life through touch alone. He felt the pulse of roots beneath his feet, the subtle vibrations of the streams, the soft rhythm of air moving through the trees. At the top terrace, the forest opened fully into a circular glade where light poured down in golden shafts through the canopy. The golden leaf pulsed rapidly now, hovering above his palm, urging him to step forward. In the center of the glade stood a single, immense tree, more magnificent than any he had seen before. Its trunk was wide as a hall, bark etched with luminous runes, and its branches stretched outward like arms cradling the sky. The tree radiated a warmth that was both physical and spiritual, filling Edrin with a sense of reverence so deep it took his breath away. He approached the tree cautiously. As he neared the base, He noticed a hollow at its roots, shaped like a natural cradle. The golden leaf lifted from his hand and floated into the hollow, settling gently as if returning to its origin. In that moment, the forest seemed to hold its breath. Light shimmered across the tree, and a low hum filled the air, vibrating through the ground, through the air, and through Edrin himself. The voice of the forest spoke again. Seeker, you have journeyed far and listened well. Now you are ready to learn the final secret, that healing is not done alone, nor is it a force to be wielded. It is a song shared, a memory extended, a harmony maintained between all living things. To heal is to remember the melody of life and to offer it to the world without expectation of reward. Edrin knelt, placing his hands upon the roots of the tree. The hum of the forest filled him completely, filling every corner of his mind and spirit. Visions of countless acts of care and restoration. Elves tending saplings, streams flowing into dried valleys, flowers returning to forgotten meadows, poured into him. He realized that he had become a part of the forest's memory, a living conduit for its song. Hours passed in a timeless suspension. The forest whispered, teaching him not with words alone, but with touch, sight, sound, and spirit. He felt the rhythm of life as if it were flowing through him, connecting him to every living being in ways he could not have imagined. And when he finally rose, he felt a profound transformation. longer merely a traveler seeking knowledge He was now a participant in the song itself, a keeper of whispers, a guardian of life's melody. The forest before him shimmered with approval. Every leaf, every petal, every stream acknowledging his presence. The golden leaf reappeared in his hand, pulsing slowly, calmly, as if to say that the journey was ongoing, that learning was never complete, but that he had crossed a threshold into a deeper understanding. Edrin stepped back along the terraces, the hum of the forest gently guiding him toward the passage he had entered earlier. He realized that the Codex of Whispers would remain at the heart of the sanctuary, a seed for others who might one day follow. Yet he carried within him a living memory, a resonance of the forest's song, and with it, the quiet knowledge that he could carry its melody back into the wider world, wherever life called him next. And so he walked, each step attuned, each breath harmonized with the living song of Middle-earth, feeling the pulse of the forest, the warmth of the light, and the eternal whispers of the elves who had made this place a sanctuary of healing and wonder. Edrin stepped lightly from the terrace into the winding forest beyond, his senses still attuned to the subtle pulse of life that hummed beneath every root and leaf. The golden leaf in his hand glowed softly, its warmth a steady reminder that the forest's memory flowed within him now, not just around him. Every breath carried the scent of moss, rain, and flowering herbs, mingling in an aroma that seemed both ancient and freshly born. It was a smell that whispered of hidden places, of secrets the world had long forgotten, and of magic that existed quietly, waiting for those patient enough to notice. As he moved deeper, the forest grew denser, yet the light seemed to bend around him, guiding his steps. Shadows flickered in the periphery of his vision, shapes that were neither threatening nor trivial, but suggestive of life unseen. Tiny creatures scuttled among the undergrowth, some with luminous eyes, others leaving trails of faint sparkles in their wake. Edrin realized that the forest had companions for every traveler. Guardians that observed and occasionally led the way. A rustle of wings drew his gaze upward. A pair of great silver-feathered birds circled above, their cries forming a melodic echo that harmonized perfectly with the wind through the trees. They dipped gracefully toward him, then rose again, as if inviting him to follow. Edrin did, feeling the pull of a deeper part of the forest. A place where the hum of the world became more distinct, more tangible. After some time, he arrived at a glade unlike any he had yet encountered. The air here shimmered, thick with golden pollen that floated like starlight. In the center stood a small pool, its waters clear, but glowing faintly from beneath. Around it, delicate creatures hovered, tiny winged beings
that seemed to be made entirely of light and sound, like living notes of a melody. They circled the pool, leaving trails of warmth and subtle vibrations in the air. Edrin approached carefully, kneeling at the edge. The creatures turned toward him, their light intensifying, and for a moment he felt a gentle probing, an assessment of his heart, of his intentions. The golden leaf pulsed steadily, reassuring him that he was recognized as a keeper of the forest's song. He dipped his hands into the pool. The water was warm and sweet, like liquid sunlight, and as he lifted it to his face, he felt a rush of clarity unlike anything before. Every leaf, every stone, every creature's heartbeat seemed to synchronize with his own. You have begun to see. The forest's voice resonated, as if emerging from the wind, the water, and the very soil beneath him. Not all can perceive the depth of life. You have learned to listen, to feel, to harmonize. But true understanding requires more than perception. It demands courage, patience, and the willingness to heal what is broken, even when the path is uncertain. Edrin nodded, feeling the truth in every word. He understood now that the forest was not a mere refuge. It was a teacher, a living mentor, and a mirror of the self. To walk through Middle-earth's hidden places was to carry responsibility, to extend the healing he had received into the wider world. A sudden rustle in the bushes drew his attention. From the shadows, a creature emerged, a fox-like being, fur shimmering with silver and hints of green, eyes like liquid amber. Its gaze met his, intelligent and curious. and without a word, it approached. The fox circled him, sniffing at the golden leaf, then stopped, tilting its head as if inviting him to follow. Edrin felt no fear. He understood instinctively that this was another guide, one that would lead him to deeper secrets and subtler truths of the forest. They traveled together through a narrow path, cloaked in mist. The light dimmed, but never vanished, filtered through leaves that glimmered faintly with their own inner glow. Edrin felt a subtle tension in the air, as if the forest were preparing him for something beyond beauty and song. The golden leaf pulsed faster, a heartbeat of reassurance, reminding him that he had already learned to trust in the melody around him. At last, they reached a secluded glen where a natural spring bubbled up from the earth. Its waters glowed with soft blue and green hues, reflecting the canopy above like liquid mirrors. Around it, flowers of every shade imaginable bloomed, their petals moving ever so slightly, as if breathing. The fox paused at the edge of the spring, looking back at him with expectant eyes. Edrin stepped forward, kneeling beside the water. The moment his hands touched its surface, a series of visions flooded his mind. Scenes of injured creatures healed by the forest, sick saplings restored to life, streams rerouted to nourish forgotten meadows, and whispers of elven voices teaching the songs of renewal. He understood instinctively that this spring held the deeper secret of elven healing. The power to listen to what was broken perceive its song, and to weave the melody of life back into harmony. But he also sensed the challenge. The forest would not give its full gift lightly. He would have to attune himself fully, surrendering every hesitation, every doubt to the song itself,
Closing his eyes, Edrin let the forest's resonance flow through him. He felt the warmth of the golden leaf merge with the cool energy of the spring. His heart expanded, attuning to the pulse of every living thing within the glen. The fox curled beside him, a quiet presence, a reminder that he was never alone. And slowly, the melody deepened, enfolding him, teaching him not through words but through experience, how to listen, how to heal, and how to carry the forest's essence into the world beyond. Time seemed to dissolve. Edrin felt his spirit intertwine with the water, the trees, the creatures, and even the smallest grains of soil. The forest was alive, aware, and patient, guiding him through every nuance, showing him the balance of life and the delicate art of restoration. When he finally opened his eyes, the spring shimmered with newfound brilliance, and the fox gave a soft, approving cry before disappearing into the undergrowth. Edrin rose, feeling transformed. The melody of the forest now coursed through him, a living song of healing and understanding. He knew the journey ahead would test him, that the world beyond the sanctuary would not resonate so perfectly with the forest's rhythms. Yet he carried within him a seed of that harmony, a guide to restoring what had been broken, a whisper of Middle-earth's ancient wisdom. And so he stepped forward, the golden leaf pulsing softly in his hand, the melodies of the forest echoing in every step, ready to carry the secret of elven healing into the wide, waiting world.